Well, now it's time we talk about Netflix's hottest new programming sensation. Sensation Monday Night Raw, January 27th in Atlanta, Georgia. Sold out 12,432 people. They did the drone shot. My God, they're going to have to start building bigger arenas. What the it's starting to be a rib now. And one of the walk-ins, did you see, since it was Atlanta, there was Cody and Brandy and their daughter, whose name I can't remember, but there was a family walk-in amongst all the stars walking in. And, again, Jesus H. Christ, this thing this is before the Rumble, much less before WrestleMania. Are they going to have to do what they did in the old days and just build some wooden stadiums to get all the people in? Well, are you talking to me on mute?
No, I mean, we have big stadiums. I don't know what to say. We have big stadiums. I think they'll get everyone in. The drone shot is crazy. I'd love to see footage of them doing it because it's flying so fast around. You almost think it's being sped up. But then you're like, oh, no, there's Michael Cole slowly walking to his position.
What if it hit some fucker in the head and bam, they need a drone shot of the drone. And they follow the drone around with the camera so you see the drone making the shot of and then the drone flies into somebody's head.
It must be tempting to take it down.
Well, I don't guess they let people come into the building with fucking nets or
a t-shirt.
Grappling.
If you threw a t-shirt over it, would that screw it up?
I don't think it gets low enough you can throw a fucking piece of cloth up to derail its goddamn flight pattern. Do you? That would be, is that against the FAA regulations? You got to fly whatever 20 feet over people's heads.
I don't know. Ask them about their drones. I'm not sure about the FAA.
Well, we're droning on now. The first segment, and I mean, it was long. It was good, and it was over, but it was a little long. But Seth Franklin Rollins, lots of singing, Liberace's pajamas. He's a little screechy and cackly again. But he was out there. It's almost WrestleMania season, and it kicks off when he wins the Royal Rumble. We're plugging the Rumble to death tonight. And again, when he started talking about his loss on Raw, the fans started chanting CM Punk without Rollins mentioning Punk's name. And he mentioned all the baby faces he was going to toss out of this fucking Royal Rumble, and especially Roman Reigns, and Punk is going to be the last so that I can crush his WrestleMania dream. And then he's just, which world title should I go after? Gunther sounds good, but then there's Cody, and wouldn't it be poetic if I took the title this year that I helped him to win last year? So he's doing the fan poll thing where he says, should I fight Cody or should I fight Gunther? But before they get the Gunther answer, Gunther's music hits and out he comes. And I love Gunther's nerdy promos and his matter-of-fact delivery, and he's got some confidence now, doesn't he? You can tell that he knows he's got a handle on this thing. But anyway, his story is basically, I beat Jey Uso's ass. He starts knocking Rollins. You're not the best anymore. I am. The belt proves it. Please win the Royal Rumble and challenge me. And then music plays, and here comes Logan Paul. We forgot about this dickhead. And now they're booing him so loud that you can't really hear what and the guys in the ring are making fun of it. We can't hear you because they're booing. And his story is that WWE needs a new face for the Netflix era, and these two Nimrods ain't it. And they're chanting, you suck, you suck. And Logan Paul declares for the Royal Rumble. And when Gunther says, I hope you do win so that I can kick your ass. And the people cheer Gunther. So now they're siding with the devil and anybody else against Logan Paul. And they all just sniped at each other and left. But again, this is all they have to do is these guys just walk out to the ring and talk snidely to each other, and this sellout crowd is fucking going ballistic. Are they handing out nitrous canisters at the front door?
I mean, you said it went long. It didn't bother me how long it went until it kind of bothered me that it went nowhere, like nothing happened. Really?
Yeah. At the end of it, you're like, well, it's a long way to go to get here.
But the interaction, I mean, that's the thing, because here in this case, we have guys that really generally don't interact with each other. So it's that first time, and it's never like that first time ever again. No, but it's the first time they've interacted, so, you don't know where it's going to go. When Gunther gets cheered going after Logan Paul, it's an interesting little thing. So I like this. Again, it went nowhere other than they all want to be in the Royal Rumble, I guess. Well, not Gunther, but Logan Paul and Seth Rollins.
Well, yeah, but they're building multiple matchups with multiple issues from multiple people that are offended by other multiple people, and they all happen to be stars. And again, in some case, like Logan Paul, I don't think is going to be the babyface against anybody in this cast of Merry Misfits, but Gunther, because the fans respect him. He's not that. He's an asshole, egotistical, aloof, and they like that about him. But the Logan Paul is an asshole that they don't like that about him. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Anywho, again, long program, skipping over a few of the things in the middle and all of the various rappers that were introduced at ringside, including Little Yachty, 2 Chainz, and Quazo. Thankfully, I don't know how the music industry was holding down the fort with these fucking monoliths of the recorded music art out of commission at a wrestling match. JD McDonagh. Get well soon, JD. We've had fun at your expense, but goddamn, you're a good kid, and what the fuck? If anybody hasn't heard, the match was JD McDonagh and Dominic Mysterio for the tag team title against the War Raiders. And let me say this before JD's near fatal injury takes up all the time. The War Raiders are doing a great job with the new gimmick. These fucking cartoon goddamn Vikings that had been going nowhere. Now they've revamped them. Hopefully after, they're drawing so many more new people, maybe people didn't see that or they'll forget quickly.
Go back and watch this match again after you find out about the injury, and between Dominic just looking exhausted and knowing how badly JD was hurt, these guys look like killers in there. Go back and watch it again now.
Yes, but anyway, War Raiders doing great. Thankfully, you came back from Norway, and the problem was early on, JD did the moonsault to the floor where he jumps up, springs off the rope, and moonsaults the guy.
Acai moonsault.
Acai moonsault. Thank you, Excalibur. No, I can't do that to you. I apologize.
I say you become the ultimate dragon.
The ultimate dragon. But anyway, JD does the moonsault on one of the fellows, and he landed on the way that you land on the guy so he could break the fall, but he kept spinning backwards, and the back of his head and his upper back and middle back hit the announce desk at a frightening rate of speed, and boom, and he bounced off on the floor instantly, and Michael Cole shit himself. And he basically came out on commentary and said, somebody check on JD McDonagh, and I'm not kidding. He probably thought he was dead, because I can't imagine sitting 2 feet in front of that. And the camera didn't even catch it really the first time, but they did a replay. And, I hate to chastise this guy that's just injured himself, but a general chastisization. Guys, as in people in the wrestling business, what are we fucking thinking? Now that everybody does this shit and you keep raising the bar and I got to jump higher, got to jump farther, or just doing the same thing that everybody else does, somebody's going to get killed. JD McDonagh would have died on live television if he had been 6 inches shorter of where he landed. Because the injuries that he's gotten apparently are two broken ribs and a punctured lung. And the reason for that is if you go back and look at this in any kind of slow motion or just with a careful eye, the back of his head hit that little fucking spoiler or, little hood thing on the top of the desk, which is, there's an element of give in that, and it's detachable from the desk. What hit the corner of the desk was the area in between his shoulder blades and his middle back, which is what apparently broke the ribs and punctured the lung, but saved his life, because if the back of his head had come down at that momentum 6 inches short of where it landed, it would have been his head on the corner of the goddamn desk, and it would have fucking given him fatal brain damage, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm not a doctor.
He was coming
here.
down fast, and again, the trajectory, just the angle he was at. Because part of me, when I first watched the replay and they showed it in slow motion, I was like, "Where's Ivan? Is it Ivan?
Ivar.
Or was it even Ivar? Where's...
I don't. It matters not. The war guy.
Where is Mr. War? Could he have caught him? Could he have stopped this? Because he went right over him. And I don't know if
because of the way when you're moonsaulting on a guy that's standing up on the floor, you're going to land with your midsection kind of on his shoulders, and it breaks the fall, and you still spin off. But that's what I'm saying. They're doing these things that everybody's doing, and it's not even unique or, remarkable anymore. And this guy could have fucking died. And he finished the match.
He did great in this match, yeah.
He took a big backdrop. He kept working. He looked facially like he didn't know whether to wind his ass or scratch his watch when he got back in the ring, but he finished the fucking thing.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing we didn't say. That Asai moonsault, the other issue was it happened at the beginning of the match.
Yes.
It was early on in the match.
Like 2 minutes in or whatever. But he got through the whole rest of the thing, taking bumps on broken ribs, punctured lung, just and you could see his back welting up as it was going along, but he was completely blind. He was going so fast and backwards he couldn't see. If he'd turned his head, that'd been worse. So that's too out of control. And I'm sorry, but that's the one thing that I heard from every great name that I ever shared a locker room with. The subject ever came up when I first got into business was you always need to be in control of yourself or where you're going, unless you're trusting somebody to put you somewhere specifically. But it always needs to be an element of control. You can't just fucking, fuck it, I'm just going to fucking fly and see what happens. It's crazy.
Catch me!
Catch me! Watch out for that tree!
Beyond the injury, and again, I didn't know how badly he was hurt. I figured he was at least... Because there was also a spot in the match where he took a knee to the back of the head. So I thought, he's probably at least shaken up. Then you find out he's hurt. I watched it again. It was a really good match. It was actually a really good match. And they got the fans really into it.
And they got This Is Awesome chants going by the end of the thing with a guy with fucking various serious medical conditions. And then the War Raiders hit the finish on Dominic. So they're using the War Raiders in a serious capacity now, but at the same time, they can always beat Dominic because the people don't care. He's that kind of heel. Some kinds of heel you can beat once and send him to the glue factory. Other you can beat every fucking night.
Hey, one last thing on this before we move on. In terms of JD McDonagh's injury and the fact that he got injured that badly early in the match, and you could tell he was hurt, and he continued, and he didn't fuck anything up. He wasn't out of place. It's incredible. What does that tell you about a guy? Does that impress you as a booker, as a promoter? The fact that
God.
A guy goes out there and he got badly hurt and he did everything he was supposed to do.
Yes. I mean, I may have chastised him when I found out exactly what was wrong with him for the father-son dumb fuck. It wasn't that important. You risk whatever, but he was dedicated and fucking determined, and the fact that he could gut through it. And we've all, goddamn, I had to get out of the ring, when I dropped off the scaffold, even though Bubba had to help me, but you try to get through whatever you've got to get through, especially when it's on live television or it's a big house or whatever, and adrenaline helps. But, that was, he didn't have to take all those fucking bumps after he punctured his lung. I think nobody would have cussed him for taking the backdrop out of it.
That's the other thing. They certainly didn't go any lighter on him. It didn't seem like.
No, well, I don't think he wasn't diagnosed right there, in mid-match. I think they probably thought, oh, fuck, he probably got his bell rung. Are you okay? You can move around. They thought he was concussed, I'm sure. They didn't think that he had broken bones and things.
Well, he'll be out for a while, but definitely get well soon, JD McDonagh.
But, when you land with the back of your head from 15 feet in the air, traveling at a high rate of speed with a spin on it, and it meets a wooden surface, you hear all kinds of things in your fucking head. All kinds of bells and whistles and sparkly things and fireworks. That's not the kind of things you want to hear in your ears, is it, Brian?
No, I mean, that's a bad sign, especially after you hit your head, if you hear fireworks and all sorts of other things that you name.
Yes, dog whistles. You hear everything. Yeah.
Fireworks. That's what you hear.
No, you want to control what you hear in your own head. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why as a matter of fact, if J.D. McDonagh had the Raycon everyday wireless earbuds in his ears, I bet you that whole thing wouldn't have happened. Because he would have been too busy grooving out to the latest tunes to even worry about jumping up and doing that I'm sorry moonsault. So the whole thing could have been avoided. Everybody would be in a better mood, Brian, if they were listening to cool tunes and soothing music and provocative conversation on the Raycon everyday wireless earbuds instead of just hearing what's going on in the world today. Because nobody wants to hear what's going on in the world today. So you need to program this shit. Or the Raycons, they got the quick charge function. Charge them for 10 minutes, you can listen to them for 90 minutes. And that ain't bad. That's 9 times the investment you put into it. They got a 32-hour battery life overall, the multi-point connectivity that lets you deviants out there pair up with 2 devices at the same time and just let your freak flag fly. And the
freak fry flag? What is that
freak
about?
Frag fly.
Where do you buy those?
Well, when you pair up with 2 devices at the same time, you're like Caligula. And the active noise cancellation, earligula. See, there you go. You're having that oral intercourse. Active noise cancellation is difficult to find at an accessible price point. That means if you're cheap, normally you don't have it, but Raycon, they got it because they started just half the price as the other premium audio brands, and they have, of course, as you know, the array of vibrant colors. As a matter of fact, if you get like all the colors and you spread them out on the desk, it looks like a big bowl of Cheerios, but don't put milk over these because you'll break a crown.
The Cheerios don't have color. What are you talking about?
The Cheerio, well, the Fruit Loops is what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, not the Cheerio, but the round things that have all the colors of the toucan.
Are you colorblind?
In the rainbow.
Okay, yeah.
Well, no, those are the Fruit Loops are the ones that are colored, right?
That's right.
Maybe I'm just a Fruit Loop. Anyway, folks, don't stick Fruit Loops in your ears. You can't hear anything except crunch, crunch, crunch. And sooner or later, that shit will get stuck. So stick the Raycon everyday wireless earbuds in your ear in a variety of vibrant colors. Hey, fuck with people as you're walking down the street, have a red one in one side and a green one in the other side. They'll think you're Santa Claus. And if you don't fall in love with your Raycons, they offer a 30-day happiness guarantee return policy. So that means if you want to be happy, all you got to do is return a pair of everyday wireless earbuds. Your happiness is guaranteed. Go right now, folks, to Buy Raycon. That's BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE. You're going to get 20%, up to 20% off site-wide Anything on the website up to 20% off. Headphones too, by the way. They don't just have the earbuds, they got the headphones. BuyRaycon.com/JCE. What an amazing discount. All in terms of making people happy.
That's right. Our good friends at Raycon. Contact them for your ear needs today.
Yes, yeah, all your ears need care and maintenance, and it'll cover up the ringing in your ears, JD. Maybe we could arrange with our friends at Raycon to send JD a free pair.
Well, once again, get well, JD, but back to Raw.
Well, then we had Rey Mysterio with the Lucha Faces against Xavier Woods with Kofi Kingston. And I mention this not because I watched the match, but because they had seats set out in the front row with reserve signs on them, supposedly for Xavier Woods' family because he's from Atlanta, right? But they were empty. So they have their match, and finally the family arrives, and the fucking finish is that when he goes over and says, "Where were y'all?" They take their jackets off, and they all had New Day suck shirts on. And that verklimpted Xavier enough that Rey Mysterio hit 619 and beat him 1-2-3. And then he celebrated with Xavier Woods' family.
See, I'd be upset too. It's not just that your family turned on you, but they planned out clearly, hey, let's dramatically all unzip at the same time.
Yeah. And spent money on the other guy's merchandise. Terrible betrayal.
It's been an interesting heel turn. So far, we've seen both of their families turn on them at the live events. We'll see what happens next.
Listen, Sami Zayn explained to Seth that, kicking you last week, it was an accident. And said, yeah, one time that was an accident. And then Jey Uso cut a promo. He's going to win the Royal Rumble. He came out with another local rapper with a mark belt, and there was much yeeting and waving going on. And this time Jay was so blown up that he stood on the announce desk to do the promo, but he could only speak 4 words at a time. He'd take a breath, spit out 4 words, take another breath, spit out 4 words. But he's making it work with the yeeting in the promo style. Liv Morgan and Rochelle wrestled Naomi and Bianca, which went forever while I was fast-forwarding with no on-screen fast-forward. So I don't really know what happened there. Did you know that Kai Cenat will be at the Royal Rumble? He's not a rapper, he's a streamer.
Is he related to Max Sennett?
It's spelled differently.
Oh.
But so now, we're streamers, right? Aren't you? You're streaming if you're either is disseminating something on the internet or emptying your bladder, right? You're streaming.
That's right.
So he got on the Royal Rumble just because he's a streamer.
Because WWE is paying influencers. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's smart. They're paying influencers to boost their product to people that normally wouldn't give a shit about their product.
I hate the term influencer.
Well, that's what they call it on their books. So,
was Rex Reed an influencer of movies, or was he a movie critic? By God.
Well, these aren't critics.
Well, if he's streaming, he's probably criticizing something. Elsewise, why are you listening to him? Are you listening to him?
I don't know what I'm listening to.
Do you know who the fuck this guy is?
I don't know.
All right, well, we don't care.
On.
So Paul Heyman was in the ring, and he revealed the cover of the WWE 2K25 video game, and the pyro blew off, and a big banner dropped, and it's Roman Reigns with Paul looking up at him adoringly at ringside. And for the rest of this segment, all the people across from hard camera are like, motherfucker, we can't see what's going on. There's goddamn banners in our way. And then Paul cuts the promo. He's the one behind the 1 in 29 versus 1. And it's going to be Roman versus everybody because Roman Reigns is coming back for his title. And that got a mixed response because the people, they don't want to see it. They would want to see it, but they don't want to see Paul and or Roman turn on Cody because they liking all of them. Have you noticed this? The reaction whenever Paul steps across the line and mentions that Roman might be coming after Cody, it's like, rumble, rumble.
Yeah, I also don't know how many people are just over the idea Roman has to be the champion to be in the position he's in when he's never around.
Well, but that's not, I agree with you in theory there, but that's not leading to these reactions because now they have fine-tuned this thing to where guys that people like can get away with saying snotty shit about other guys that they like, even though the people will kind of, oh, don't say that about him. I want to like all of y'all. But then they go back and, oh, okay, we're with you again. This is very fucking good. And anyway, when Paul said he did a strong promo, as always, about everybody praying they're going to beat Roman Reigns, and Drew McIntyre's music plays. And here comes Drew. And Paul was nervous, and they took their sweet time getting to the ring and getting to this. This is where I miss the on-screen fast forward on Netflix when it's a 5-minute fucking entrance, right? Fans are chanting, we want Roman, and Drew's like, Paul, don't be nervous. We never get to talk. And Drew, of course, tells Paul that he's responsible for all of the success that Paul's had. He's the daddy of the bloodline. And they drew the history back to 2020. Drew won the Royal Rumble and then beat Roman, right? That's almost prehistoric now. But that's where Drew says, Paul, you got in his ear then when he was down and you created this and the bloodline took over. All I want is a thank you. And Paul's like, well, thank you, Drew, but you're crowding me right now. Oh, I'm sorry. I just need a favor. I need you to do me a favor. Please tell your boy that Drew McIntyre is going to eliminate him. And Paul says, I promise you that I will pass the message on to Roman Reigns. Oh, no. Drew stops him. He says, I was talking about Punk. And then he lets Paul leave. So we're still being reminded about that Punk, as a favor to Paul, did the blah, 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 and it all works. And then we got Sammy and Drew in our main event. And it was a good match. It was fairly lengthy, but it was a good match. These guys are pros. They can work. Idle observation, Vince McMahon may have been right about logos on the mat. It does look a little, fucking, but it looks like the trailer that's hauling a race car to some stock car fucking track in Georgia. But finally, Sammy went for a kick and Drew schoolboyed him and put his feet on the ropes. 1, 2, 3. The heel cheated and beat the babyface. Imagine that. And then he leveled Sami Zayn and got some more heat on him. And here Cody's music played. Here came Cody. And Cody and Drew get in a fight. And Drew rolled out. And right as Drew rolled out, Owens was in behind Cody and attacked him. And they get in a fight. And then Drew comes back to help stop Cody. And Drew took Cody over to the corner where he was starting to throttle him, but Sammy came to save him with a kick, and Drew moved, and Sammy kicked Cody right in the fucking face. Boom! Boy, a lot of misfires from Sammy. And Sammy was shocked, and Drew starts laughing and rolls out. And Owens walks up beside Sammy because they're old buddies and patted him on the chest. Thanks, pal. And rolled out of the ring, and Sammy's there with his head in his hands, and Cody's down selling his face. And they go off the air, or so we thought for a moment. But first, Brian, your comments on Drew and Sami Zayn.
Match was okay. The finish was interesting, and again, the teasing of multiple things, including Owens and Zayn, I thought it was good.
But then that was the main event, right? And you smartened me up to this. Thank God we spoke before we, recorded, because that was the main event. It was all over. the announcers didn't say, well, stay tuned, we've got some more shit gonna happen. And they faded to black and then to a what I assumed, and I later found out what you assumed was a promotional piece for some more. It was, I thought I'd seen that footage with Roman in Saudi Arabia or wherever the fuck they were. I thought, is this a documentary plug or whatever? Boom, I stopped the playing of the show, and so did you. And then later on, you found out and alerted me.
Well, no, I didn't. What happened?
Oh, you.
What happened was on Xfinity, the cable remote, you could just say CBS, it'll go to CBS. MeTV, it'll go to MeTV, whatever it may be. So I said to go to the next channel, and it didn't happen. And then I realized, oh, I'm on Peacock. It's a different, or on Netflix, it's a different input. I got to go to the other one for cable. And right as I did that, they went back to the ring. And I said, whoa, what's this?
Okay, well now, by the way, you've just illustrated why I hate all this fucking streaming bullshit. Just give me a cable box, because you got to say this and do that and jump this hoop and go back to this thing. But nevertheless, they came back after the couple minutes of commercial broadcasting. They came back to the ring, and Cody was still down selling his face, and then got up and kind of given the speech like he's going to wind things up, and out comes CM Punk. And then they proceeded to do one of the goddamnedest promo exchanges I mean, we've come to expect, high-level shit verbally from Punk, and Cody has held his own in this position. But holy shit, they told this story, and Punk led it. But he needed to, because he was the guy setting this thing up. And he built up a long time with Cody, saying, hey, I know what it's like. I was there. I was champion for 400 and something days. I'm here. I'm concerned about you. I know what that world title can do to you. I lost friends. I see you losing friends.
He actually began the promo by saying, are you okay?
Yeah, are you okay? And he said, you want to be Bruno or Cena, but none of us are Superman. And that title wears down on you, and everybody's against you. When you're the man, there are no friends. Because Cody said, you're my friend, right? And Punk paused. But he said, yes, that's why I'm out here. I'll always be your friend. I promised your dad, but I love you. But you're the man, there are no friends. Well, Cody says, if you were right in your prognosis last year, what's next for me? And that's where Punk really laid it out. Short term, you're in your own bed tonight. You're in Atlanta. But maybe you don't sleep. You're thinking about the biggest match of your career at Royal Rumble. He puts that over. Or then maybe you got an early call. You're going out to do publicity. Or if you make it through the Royal Rumble, what about Raw and SmackDown? The time away from your family, the constant grind. And while those belts, I know how much it means to guys like me and you to be the champion, to have those title, to do that grind on the road. It's going to keep you away from your family. It's going to be a constant source. And while you're trying to keep up with it, somebody's going to be out there that's going to be the next one to take it from you and to go into that and do that whole thing. Because when you're the champion, there's always someone that's coming up that's going to take that belt. But that's the good news, Cody. And Cody said, well, if that's the good news, what's the bad news? And Punk says the bad news is the someone is me. And then the people, oh. And the people were with this, not even cheering and booing, but applauding the back and forth exchanges. And Punk said, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. I'm going to see you at WrestleMania, and I'm not going to stab you in the back. I'm going to stab you in the front. Because I'm telling you this ahead of time. I'm going to win that title. But I'm your friend, so I'm being honest. And then Cody fired up and cut a promo, gave the street address of OVW, 4400 Shepherdsville Road in Louisville, folks. And he did a hell of a promo. about how he came to OVW a little bit behind Punk, and he came to the main roster a little behind Punk. But then it's always been a situation through most of their career where he was chasing Punk, but now Cody told Punk, I'm not chasing you, you're chasing me. And the people are like, yay! And then they both tried to walk off from each other, but they both caught each other one time for parting shots. And Cody got the last one when he's going to make the best in the world realize he's not the best in the world anymore. This was the best thing on fucking Raw.
How many people missed it?
That's what I'm wondering because, again, it was a hell of a fucking false finish to come back from. You thought the show was over. Or I did, you did. Maybe we were just anxious to get out of it, but certainly they will excerpt it on other programming, but now there's another fucking match we want to see. Holy jumping Jehoshaphat. And now I thought we were supposed to be getting Cena and Punk. Somebody said that, or am I misremembering that?
They've been teasing a lot of different things. We'll see where they go. We were going to get Cena and Cody.
I think they're going to have 5 nights of WrestleMania to work all these matches in. But they have endless time to do all of these things that they've set up because they're set up for the next 2 years.